Welcome to OTP Podcast, where we bring you unfiltered and uncensored conversations. I'm your host, O, joined by my co-hosts, Chinny and Mr. Y. How you guys feeling?
It's been a good weekend,
Well, we've got the first results that's come in, so it's game week 1 done out the way. Overall, I know we was all excited to watch, to have football back. You know, they broke it down Friday, Saturday, and Monday. How are we feeling about that? Firstly, how are we feeling about the matchups for match day 1?
Friends back, there were some decent games. Tottenham and Brentford was an interesting one, both missing their star strikers from last season, obviously. Chelsea, Liverpool, obviously the obvious one to point out, 2 big teams playing out this weekend. And yeah, it was interesting to see a new look Man United playing as well. So yeah.
Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Bible?
I can't lie, man. I weren't too happy with the fixture. I can't lie, I wasn't too happy with the Chelsea Liverpool fixture. You know, I would have preferred that if that was game week 5 onwards. I felt like players looked rusty. It didn't look like a quality. Like, it didn't look players at full flow. It looked like the players were still finding their fitness, still finding their rhythm on the pitch. No one looked real sharp.
Yeah, it's a picture that came.
Enzo looked amazing. Let me not say no one looked sharp, but it just felt like players played at certain moments. It wasn't full flowing for the entire 90. So I think that would have been more of an exciting game after game week 5 when players had found their rhythm and their legs. And yeah,
I hear that. So we'll say let's hold your horses, because we'll get into that game, you know. But let's start with, as you see, go scroll across the bottom. Business as usual for Man City. The Terminator at the double as City comfortably beat Burnley 3-0. What do you guys think about that game?
Chilly, we'll start.
Well, yeah, man. The heading says itself, man. The Terminator turned up. The robot turned up. He had a bad community shield game. He said, "Yeah, not today. Serious time." And he does what he does. Man City do what they do. They looked real serious. They didn't come to play. They didn't start off slow. So yeah, man, it was interesting. Obviously, De Bruyne got injured, which is also another interesting thing. Maybe we'll touch on in a bit. But yeah, with Haaland, anything is possible.
Boy, yeah, I mean, new season, same Haaland, boy. That's the way I see it, boy. Man picked off literally where he left last season. You know what I mean? Not many touches, not much involvement in the game, but you give him 2 chances and he slaps 2 in the back of the net, and that's exactly what you're dealing with, a machine, a Terminator, as the heading says. And you know what? I think that whole kind of, like, even when we talk about Haaland being a Terminator, I feel like that machine-like kind of analogy kind of refers to City themselves, because they're like a machine. It's boring football these days. I don't feel like players have that ability to go on and express themselves. If you know what I mean, like.
As well. I was thinking that as well, because obviously Arsenal have a similar mode to Man City, but we have like Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, when he plays, they're a bit more expressive in the way they play. It's a bit more exciting, a bit faster. And I think City had that when they had like Sane, Sterling, and they were going out wide and they were using their pace and they were cutting back and doing that. But the only player I can really see with that now is Bernardo Silva, that's really able to express themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much robotic, but it's what they are, innit? City are a well-oiled machine, like, you know, and they don't need to play at 100% to go and get a result, but they'll get the result regardless. And that's what we're dealing with. And that's what every team that's competing for a title, or whoever's competing for the title, is going to be dealing with this season. And I felt Burnley were lucky. Like, you know,
they played well.
They showed great energy. Yeah, they showed some great energy and, created a few chances. And had they put something away, then it could have been a different game. But, you know, City being the City they are, 2 chances by Haaland, 2 goals. And then obviously, and that was game over from there, you know what I mean? So, but it is signs of a great team.
What's your
Definitely
take
signs of a great team.
I agree. It's like, I used to watch City and be like, yeah, the expression. I don't really enjoy watching, like, other than the tactical, looking at the tactics and how they deploy people into their positions and get the best out of them. I don't look at City anymore and be like, oh my God, I'm excited to watch City. Like, oh my God, City did there. Like, I do miss those times watching City like that as just an advocate of football. I miss watching the expression and people coming in, you know what I mean, and doing certain things. I feel like you guys said, it's a well, like, oiled, like, they're robots. They just come and do a job. And again, if that wins you the games, and that's consistently wins the games, then so be it. If I was a City fan, would I be complaining? No. You know, they're still signing top quality players and they're getting the best out of players. But as someone watching it on the outside, now being on the outside, being a Liverpool fan, I'm just like, man, let me see a little oomph in your players that like express themselves a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? So I definitely agree, and I think, you know, City again, like we called it last time. I think City are favourites and whatnot. I am tempted to see what City do, because missing out with Kevin for 4 months is
That's a
great.
Yeah.
You know, he likes to sort himself out for the annual Arsenal game where he likes to come back and play 90 minutes. So you never know with him. But obviously, being an Arsenal fan, you don't really want their best players available. So him being out might be a blessing in disguise for the rest of us. We'll just see what happens from there, I guess. But yeah, like you said, they're a well-oiled machine. They're going to miss that individual quality of De Bruyne that can sometimes win them games, or he can put it on Haaland's head, Haaland's toe, wherever it needs to be, so it can go in the back of the net. But so hopefully they don't get the same chances. And yeah, man, we can go from there. That's how we need to move with them. But
You know,
Paqueta coming in, that might be decent. He's not De Bruyne, nowhere near De Bruyne, but he adds a little flair going forward, a little attacking presence, little pass here, goes there. So
I hear that. Yeah, he's got personality. So I would love to see.
I know that as well.
He's got personality, so I love to see how he expresses himself like that, or if he like steps away from all that expression, all that you know, he's got so much skill on the ball. I want to know if he's still gonna do it. If he's gonna be like, okay, this is Pep's football. This is what I'm gonna do, and then maybe I'll score a goal and get a little, you know what I'm saying? And then, but until then, it might be just, okay, I'm focused on what's going on, and I don't want to make a misplaced pass. And all right, I'm not doing nothing for them. I'll keep it simple for a minute.
Yeah, you know what it is, yeah? There's two things I'll say. So on the Paqueta thing, I'd say Pep will drum it out of him. Like, that's what he's done to everybody. Like, look at Grealish at Villa, and you compare Grealish at Villa to Grealish at City. The freedom that Grealish used to play with at Villa, I know he was the main man, and he was the guy that was driving on the team, but it's not the same Grealish. His game it's risk averse. It's about driving up the pitch and then keeping possession. And that kind of links into the second point, which I was going to make, which is going about seeing how they're a well-oiled machine. It's like, the reason why it's boring is it's so risk averse. Like, you had Pep screaming at Haaland because Haaland made a run, you know, and wanted a pass, and Bernardo Silva recycled possession. And that is essentially what it is. It's almost like we don't want to risk losing the ball. We're going to play it safe. We're only going to pass forward when we know we can find a man. And then that is their whole game. So from like a spectator's perspective, for me, City are a boring team to watch nowadays. And, you know, as great as they are, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. You know, they are treble winners. What they've achieved is magnificent. Like, there's no denying that. But from a spectator's position, it's boring. There's no, like, the magic of the game is lost with City. You know, like, I grew up in the Ronaldinho era. You know, even players like Messi, you know, you see players go out and express themselves. You see moments of brilliance. And you don't really get that so much with City. Everyone's kind of playing within a shell and a system. And it's the system that matters more than any individual brilliance. And you don't really get that.
Yeah. It's but you know what? None of their players are going to complain if they do what they do and win every game.
Yeah.
Win the trap, like, not, they're going to go home with the medal, happy with that robotic football, and that's how it goes. I'd be happy. So
yeah, no.
If we touch on Burnley, I thought Burnley were decent. Company had them playing some ball. They were juking. Had a couple chances at 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't put the ball in the net, and then, you know, they get punished. But from what I saw, I don't really see them struggling too much. I know none of us had them down to go down this year. None of us put them in our to go down list. But from what I saw, they look like they can compete. It's just how when they approach bigger teams, they need to. I think it wasn't the best idea for them to try and go head to head with the press and the passing. Even though they're decent at it, they're not good enough to do that.
I was happy to see it though.
Yeah,
it was a breath of fresh air considering I thought company might say, okay, obviously what the type of Burnley football used to, obviously you watched our company's football last year and whatnot, and we knew he was going to come out play football. You knew he was always going to come out, but you almost get like a lot of teams with stage fright. They just think I'm going to park the bus or keep, and just try a counter attack, or I'm going to just play in two low blocks, or I'm going to just like possession and just defend for our lives. So it was refreshing to see. However, it was always a risky thing to do when you're playing a team like City, but it's refreshing because if you look at some of the other clubs that come up, it's always just bar Leeds, maybe Bournemouth when it came up
last year.
They were trying to go for it every game. So
and the worst thing is watching City didn't play that well, but they have Haaland who scored two chances, 2 goals. Had Burnley have had a Haaland or a number 9 that puts the ball away, they might have found themselves with a couple goals as well because City gave them chances.
I disagree with both of you because I feel like hindsight's always, hindsight's a powerful thing, isn't it? So in hindsight, we turn around and we're like, maybe they should have done something different. But when you look at the approach they took and the chances they created, they actually done well. We're unlucky to be level or even ahead after the chances they created. And it's because they lack that cutting edge. And that can happen in any game. It happens in football. So I can't sit here right now and be like the whole approach was wrong because it wasn't like they went there, they tried to play City, they tried to go toe-to-toe with City and they struggled.
I think that was refreshing. So I'm waiting for you to disagree with me. I've graded your point.
No, cool. No, I'm just saying to you, like for me, I felt like it was the right approach, right? I feel like it was the right approach, but they just got beat by a well-oiled machine. I don't think it was. They got tactically outclassed. I don't think it was. I don't think it.
I mean,
I don't think it was naive. I don't think it was a naive setup from the manager where you look at it and be like, did you really think you're going to go there and play City and then you get slapped for 5? Like certain other teams did, like Villa did, for instance, and how open Villa were. I feel like it was just a game where you don't take your chances and you're playing a big team, you get punished. And that's just the game, isn't it? It's not necessarily to do with the actual tactical setup for me.
Well, it's a slightly naive because Pep would have known what Company is going to do because Company has a certain way of playing, which he's learned from people like Pep. So he's like, it's naive to think that you're going to go into a game with Pep, play the exact same way that you do, and come out on top. Even Pep's not that naive. Like Pep played Arsenal last year at the Etihad and went with a completely different setup than he's ever did against Arsenal when he just threw Haaland and De Bruyne as like a 4-4-2. And Arteta was like, he was baffled because it's naive to think that I can watch you every game. You're going to do the same thing every single game.
No, I hear that, but at the same time, I don't think they lost that game because of the tactical setup. So that's why I can't sit here in hindsight and go and criticize Company tactically because they lost because they didn't take their chances. If it was a thing where they set up as they did and they were just getting ran through, then I'd be like, you know what? You should have adjusted. You could see the way the game was going. You should have changed up. And then that's where I would criticize the manager actively. Whereas I felt Burnley played well and done enough in that game to do something if they were more clinical in front of goal. And I feel like in football, you don't take your chances when you have them, especially when you're playing a juggernaut. You're playing the Man Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals. As a smaller team, you will get punished.
Don't mention
you will get punished. No, but historically, listen. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I'm not going to sit here and deny Liverpool. They're not what they were, but we'll talk about it later. But I just mean like that's what happens when you play them type of teams. So
yeah, you got to take the chances.
Yeah, so for me, if it was a thing where they tried that and it got dominated, then I'd be like, yo, what's Company doing? What's the game plan? Like, where's the adjustment in game? Like, where's the coaching in?
It's been starting slow late the last few seasons, though, isn't it? Like they start quite slow, don't they?
So see,
in terms of
yeah,
their run.
see, the only time they started fast is when they got the 100 points. That's the only time that City have started fast.
They usually like
But
build
every
up.
other season.
Yeah, so I feel like Pep's taken Arteta a bit seriously this year. Last year was like, ooh, and this year it's like, okay, I know he's coming.
By
So
what, 5-10%, 20,
he's
30?
like I'm not having this. We'll see. We'll see it because he likes to change his lineup and drop players. So we'll see how much changing he does this year.
Yeah,
I don't feel like he can afford to do that the same amount that he's been doing it year on year out. But yeah, I guess that's City Burnley. Unless anyone has anything else to say on that,
no.
We move on. We move on. Arsenal 2-1 winners. Late scare, Elanga coming on, and Nwai, is it? But yeah, late scare, 2-1 win. Saka with a new party trick. Things are going well.
You want to talk about this?
Oh yeah, you might as well start.
As the neutral, you want to start this?
Yeah, no, I think you guys look very good. I'm not a hater. I like your signings. I think you invested well. I don't get this Kai Havertz slander. It's boring now. I think the way you guys are not. I think Timber, what a signing. Defo was up there for signing of the season. For price and for performance, and the fact that he could be utilized in more than one position. Rice, great signing, and Nketiah played well. I think as a team, you guys just looked good. You guys just looked good. Obviously, it's a game. It's still early in the season, so I wouldn't take the scare too seriously. I know you might disagree with me, but I don't think anyone this started off the first game of the season or any of the games I watched, anyone played great. I think there was only like 2-3 teams that really looked really strong to me over the first game week. But I think Forest, they were a lot better than I thought. I thought they was going to fall off. I thought Forest would fall off, but they stayed in the game. They tried. They got the late goal and started doing it. When they got the goal, I think they just played worse. I think there was no real direction of it was either usually get the ball in the box or whatever. It was all like, okay, what should we do now? Do we go back to keeper? Do we hold on to the ball? That's the one thing about Forest, and Forest should be used to being down. So I just feel like that's where they let me down, where I thought they had that moment and they didn't utilize that time, and it was they just seemed lost in that moment. But again, Forest showed heart to fight back, and they can take confidence out of their game. But Arsenal, being Arsenal, they're a great team. They will be up there. They played a lot better as a unit than I thought. I thought there'd been a lot of areas where they'd been like, oh, Arsenal need to work on it. But they, as a unit, everyone playing together, we can see it's the right signings and whatnot. But I'll let you guys get into that. You guys are gonna be like, ooh, yes, ooh, this person.
Well, what's in it? Chinny, you want to go next or?
Let me attack. Well, first half was obviously really good. Kept the ball. Bar the Brennan Johnson chance in the first 10, where he should have done a lot better. Apart from that, we more or less controlled the whole first half. Kept the ball, progressed up the pitch. Xhaka kept getting these one-on-one opportunities to take on Aina. He was actually done pretty decent until he got on the yellow. But Saka was doing his thing. Odegaard was popping in. Declan Rice was doing his thing forward and backwards. We kept winning the ball in transition. We didn't really get caught out on the transition. So first half, very good. Obviously, we got the 2 goals. Martinelli with the individual brilliance, and then Saka with even better individual brilliance. So
he didn't mean it.
He did mean it.
He didn't mean it. But I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. He didn't mean it, but
he won the roulette. Yeah, you see when you do the roulette and you twist, your studs go over the ball. You get me? He done the roulette and kicked it with the back of his heel into the space. Whether he meant it as a pass or to just
yeah. It wasn't a pass. Sorry,
he meant it into that space.
Yeah, but it wasn't a pass.
When he got into that space,
I've seen Salah do a lot of stuff that he never meant, bro, and I give him the praise. So I just leave it at that, innit?
I put my hand to say he didn't mean it either. He took it to the wrong level, fam. Nah, it's good skill. He just, and I know. Let me see Martinelli. I love that player. That, yeah, Saka, amazing, world class up there, gonna be a superstar, whatnot. But Martinelli is my type of player. I just love the hit, going forward, going back.
The best part of his game on Saturday was how much times he won the ball going backwards. You see, when they won the ball and they're going to counter attack, he's run back 5, 6 times, and I think at half time the interception stats, he was on top of the list, and it was like, that's our left winger. So as much as he does going forward, going back, he was real good.
He don't stop. He does not stop.
He's engine, and I spoke about it after the game as well, and saying that when he's on that form, when he's that hungry, you get the best out of him. And then obviously Saka, before half time, he learned his new party trick. He honed that inner iron Robin, and boy, hopefully we see more of that this year, because he does get goals as we saw last year. But when you can add this type of goal where you can cut in and bend it, or you can take someone line, and you know he uses his right foot to do that roof shot quite a lot. It's one of his favorite party tricks. That's his party trick. But if he's learned a new one, what can we do? Team, watch out. He done it against United last year, and now he started off with it this year. But second half, we let the tempo die. We kind of just let the game flow. It's not in our best interest to let games flow like that. Obviously, Timber came out of a big injury, which is bad news. I'm not sure about Partey right back. I get the understanding of the inverted and being able to control the middle from the defense, but I think it took away from certain things like Ben White and Saka when they're on the right have a good unit with Odegaard, and I think it took away from that as well. And Partey definitely does not have the legs to go the other way, which is a massive issue. When someone like Alanga comes on that pitch, you'll see the massive issue. So second half was a bit, but we got through it, 3 points. You just kind of want to win your games at the start of the season and still be playing your football.
Good points.
My thoughts on the game, you know what? I thought, again, like Chinny, I thought it was a mixed game, should I say. I felt like we were dominant with the ball in the first half. And I liked aspects of that because I felt it was like City-like in the sense of how we controlled the game. We kind of suffocated them with the ball, kind of demoralized them by keeping the ball. And then whenever we did lose it, there was a hunger and an aggression from the likes of Martinelli, Rice, Timber, Saka to all go and close back that ball, press and win that ball back as soon as possible. So that stood out to me. But at the same time, I was quite critical because I felt like with all that possession, I didn't feel like we created enough in that first half. And I feel like possession without chance creation is a bit of like a false stat, you know what I mean? Like it gives the sense of dominance, but it's without really doing enough, if that makes sense. You can control the ball, but I want to see more chances on goal. I want to see you, creating chances, and that's the football we grew up on, or the football I grew up on. You know what I mean? So that's how I felt about the first half, and in the second half, I felt like we kind of strayed away from that. So we were more riskier in possession. We were playing more vertically and pushing passes that didn't necessarily need to be done, forcing passes. And then obviously as time went on, we didn't take the chances we had. Declan Rice had a few chances. I'm trying to think who else had a few chances, but there was quite a few chances created and we failed to take those. And then obviously we got hit on the counter. Alanga came on, Awoni came on. That guy always gives us issues. Like he's a bully. He's an absolute bully. All that hard food. You know what I'm saying to you? Like he just our defenses can't live with him. And we could see like he had like Saliba on his back, Gabriel on his back, and he just dealt with it calmly. And that's he looked good. He always looks good physically. And if he can add more to his game, I feel like he'd be a solid Premier League striker. He didn't show enough last season, but yeah. And on Saka, yeah, I mean, Chinny hit on the head. I mean, I said he unlocked his Robin trait. That cutting and left foot curve was, something magical. And as soon as it left his foot, you just knew it was going top bins. You just knew. And that's something that I want to see more from him. I want to see him develop that. I want him to be Mahrez-like. I want Robin-like, Salah-like. When you give him that space, you know that the chance is going to give the goalkeeper a problem. Like you don't really want to let fly from that area on their left foot. And that's more of what I want to see. I felt Rice and Timber in particular helped us with transitions. So we felt like they were physically imposing. They cover ground, more athletic, more robust. So whenever they did try to break away, we could close them down and win the ball back as soon as possible. And that's a big blow now, like having Timber out for a few months. I mean, they haven't told us the exact time frame. I don't know if it's an MCL or an ACL. There's loads of rumors flying around the net. But that's going to be a massive loss. Like Timber has been one of the most standout players in preseason, and he integrated into the squad like seamlessly, like one of the most smoothest integrations I've seen in a long time. Like especially coming in from the Dutch league as well, because like people that come from the Eredivisie are hit and miss. You get a lot of players that look at Donny van der Beek. Man was balling out in the CL, giving Real problems. Comes to United, struggles. Like there's loads of stories. Bergwijn. There's loads of people that struggle with that integration from that league. So I was very impressed to see him come in, and especially against City, done well, played well. So that's going to be a massive blow. But for me, I'm not really too fussed about us not looking as good as last season. Like from the first game, for me, we started well last season and finished poorly. So for me, it's all about results. And because we're still got a few new additions and we're trying to integrate them and we're trying to diversify the way we play, have different ways of playing, I feel like there's going to be an adjustment period. But within that, as long as you keep picking up the results, that's all that matters. So like we have to take something from City and be a machine just like they are. And even if you're not playing well, even if you're not playing the smoothest football, you need to bag those 3 points, and that's all that matters. And we've done that, so I can't complain with that.
Yeah, man. Just going forward, obviously we dropped Gabriel. I don't know if it was a kick up the ass, or he just actually wasn't in the tactical setup of the game. Obviously, if you have Ben White and Saliba as centre backs, they're more imposing when they have the ball in terms of forcing it forward and just being better on the ball, driving forward with it if they need to. So maybe that was the tactical aspect, and then Partey coming in. But we've got Crystal Palace on the weekend, who are a very physical team. I expect to see Gabriel back in the team. I don't know how close Zinchenko is yet. Obviously, he hasn't played a minute of pre-season. He's been in full training, but whether he's ready to start a game yet is another thing. But to be honest, obviously, Kieran Tierney, I would have started Kieran Tierney this weekend against Palace, or Monday Night Football against Palace, but purely for the sake of, I would have started Havertz up front as well instead of Eddie against Palace. And if we're gonna be going there and trying to do like a physical approach, then it gets you the Martinelli inside a bit more, creating problems, creating an overload. And you know how typical Tierney is going down the wings and putting in crosses, cutting it back, using his physical presence. But I expect Arteta to go Kiwior and just block out that defensive unit or centre backs kind of thing, and just roll with that as usual.
Yeah, I
guess that's how that goes. But,
we'll touch on that more on next episode where we do our previews. We'll see what happens between now and then.
And as we go into the next one, we look at Chelsea. Chelsea. Showing good early signs on the potch during their 1-1 draw with Liverpool. Obviously, it was a 1-1 draw, but we spoke about Chelsea previously on the first episode and whether they would gel, whether it's making sense. And I'm not going to lie, there were some signs of it making sense. And when you can make sense against a team like Liverpool, albeit the first game of the season, it's a tough one. I think apart from the first 10 minutes of that game, Chelsea had Liverpool quite under wraps.
20, 25, 26, 27-ish max.
Whatever you want to call it, I felt like Chelsea were decent. And I didn't expect them to be decent. And with their 2 new additions, this could be a problem. But OJ, go into it, man. Your team, how did you deal with them? What happened?
I'll start with Chelsea.
No. Let's start with Liverpool. Let's start with your team. I want to hear your analysis on your team.
The first 27-ish minutes, I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, no number 6. Obviously, there were moments where I was like, okay, these are the areas. Because if you're watching football, which I know we all do, and you look at spaces and you realize there was a lot of 2-overs on our wing backs or whatever you want, or whatever, on our left back and right back. Then, if you look at Van Dijk, he kept stepping more to the right and leaving Robbo with 2 man or exposing Diaz. I love Diaz, but he needs to work a lot harder tracking back. I thought he was one of the ones that's supposed to come off. And another thing about Diaz going forward, he's great, but when you're trying to play quick football, he loves a touch. Konate, no matter who was there, he was running out to right back. It don't matter what was happening, what was there, he's running out, and he ended up being for me the best centre back for us. But again, I don't think we had a great game. We're crying for a number 6, which we knew was going to happen. I think what I claimed it positives in the first part of the game, and looking at the game, I was surprised. But then reality hit us.
McAllister at the 6 is diabolical, absolutely horrendous. You can't play like that. Even against lower opponent, the transition, he just doesn't have the turnaround. It's not in his headspace to turn around and track from the deepest of the midfielders. Once he gets turned around,
the reality hit us hard.
I thought Gakpo was poor.
Gakpo, I don't know why he played Gakpo in Cam. I hate him in that position. Let him play the force. Anything, play him out wide, whatever. I hate him in that role.
Oh, listen, let's have a conversation about Klopp here and his tactics, because these tactics are horrible. Yeah.
What tactics? You couldn't even get.
Hold on. Let me finish here, because you start with a midfield pairing, yeah, of 3 8s, well, 2 8s, and then a striker.
A striker.
And a striker. And you had, I think you had Curtis Jones as well on the bench, yeah? Yeah, Curtis Jones is on the bench, right? Who ended last season pretty well as an 8, right? So I'm confused. You're going away to Stamford Bridge, big team, young team, new manager, lots of energy. You know, their fans are going to be up for it. First game of the season. You know, there's all that Caicedo beef going on, that Lavia beef in the background as well. You know what type of game it's going to be.
Can we skip this formality and just say it was an L?
No. And you want to go into a big game, starting your number 9 as a left 8. That is a howler. That is an absolute howler from Klopp. Absolute.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
It's better off. It's better off that they would have put Trent in the middle and put Gomez on the right as a right back.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different options that they could have done. But you tried to toe with Chelsea at the first game of the season, fresh legs, all that positive energy, as Mr. White was saying, and that was mental. It was actually mental. And after watching that game, obviously we've done our top 6 predictions and all that good stuff. And obviously I had said a lot of things depended on transfers. Caicedo's obviously gone to Chelsea now. Lavia looks like he's on his way to Chelsea as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had Liverpool 3rd. Yo, no number 6. In fact, you
get to the back of the queue. Man said, get to the back of the queue.
You need 2 number 6s. If Liverpool do not get at least 1, they're not finishing in the top 4. If they get 1, maybe, but if they don't get 1, it's going to be a 6-7 page finish for you, man.
Yeah, but Chelsea played well though. I think Chelsea had some moments in the game.
No, listen, Chelsea did play well, bro. Well, all I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna keep it 100. I think Klopp is going through his Wenger arc, yeah, where that stubbornness is going to cost him, because I feel like if you look at Fergie, for instance, yeah, Fergie's one of the best managers. I hate to say it, but one of the best managers, yeah, to grace the Prem. But if you look at what he did so well, was he always adapted. Through different areas of football, he adapted. And I feel like Klopp is still fixated on that way he was playing a few years ago, but he hasn't adapted, or he hasn't changed nothing about the team. It's the same tactics over and over again. And even if he doesn't have the personnel to play that, he still sticks with the same tactics. Like, I remember I know Arteta's has had a lot of criticism before, but when he came in when played a back five. That was never the way in which he wanted to play. But the personnel was never going to allow him to play a 4-3-3 and build up from the back. Never had the right profile players. We weren't strong enough defensively. So you've got to kind of work with what you've got. And in that game, I know you haven't got a 6, and it was so obvious. I mean, McAllister was McAllister was trying. He was playing well on the ball. I can't criticize him because that's not his position. He's never played there. That's not what he was signed to do. So it's hard to criticize him for that. But where is Klopp helping out his players? Because that's what they needed. They needed some help. Either go to a back five. Even Poch changed his tactics because Poch don't play a back five either.
Yeah, and I looked at the start lineup and I knew it was doomed from then. I was very disappointed in Klopp for those same reasons. You've got even I was looking at the same thing. You start Trent in there, you put Joe Gomez at right, or you start Curtis Jones instead, or whatever. And then the gap hole and kind of bro, how stubborn can you be? We need to. All right, cool. We don't have a number 6, so then you know midfield's our problem. So then you do what you have to do with the players you have to try and, do you know what I mean? And like she said, you tried to go toe to toe, and it wasn't the right. You're away from home. You don't have a 6. And you're tactically set up more attacking than you are defensively, or it wasn't let me tweak something here. And that's where I really wanted Klopp to tweet. And this is the reason why a lot of fans are saying, is it Klopp's time to go? I personally feel like, we need to see how this season, see how the season goes. But I agree with no number 6. And I still do feel like we put out a number 6. History hasn't been good to us with how we've been making panic buys or decisions in the last week or so. If you remember, we lost all our centre backs and our CDMs, and we ended up buying the boy from Preston, Davis, and Kabak, and them guys there. So, and then you remember again midfield, we tried to address the midfield. We're not signing Melo, which makes no sense again. And then the way we've conducted business, I said this last time, is away from the game. Is we were supposed to sign the number 6. Someone to come in and keep Fabinho. That's why I thought Lavia or someone could come in and just be a backup number 6 and learn the ropes, or maybe whatever, or go sign somebody else. Bids came in that we couldn't turn down. But surely before you let your only 6 go, you go, okay, there's another man I'm gonna sign. We didn't even. It weren't until Fabinho left ages ago, and then we only bid, and we bid what, the 25th of July for Lavia, and then we didn't say he's not worth the money. 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 It's just silly. I can't lie to you. So we're gonna suffer. We will bring in a number 6. It's just what type of number 6 it is. Clubs are gonna look at us and say, they got money now. So it's just an L all around. I'm very disappointed in my club. I'm very disappointed in Klopp, because Klopp can dictate. Might not be able to bring somebody in and say, he can say, these are the people, and you might not be able to say, okay, here's the money, it's not my money. But Klopp's job is what happens on that pitch, and he did not manage our team right. Or set us up. He set us up for failure.
Sound like a real angry Liverpool fan.
Yeah, you know what? I can't lie. Yeah, I'm gonna say, I feel like I said, I feel there's a lot of similarities between Pep and Wenger, because I feel like both of them went backed with the players that they wanted at certain stages. I don't think Klopp didn't want a 6. And I feel like your transfer strategy is horrible, because you could have signed Romeo Lavia 50 million, instead went and bid on Caicedo, then came back and got that snatch from you, then go back for Lavia, put in a 55 million or 60 million bid.
That's what you not did, you know.
I said that.
No, but I'm saying to you, hold on. Listen, but I'm just saying to you, what I'm trying to emphasize is I don't think that's Klopp's fault, because that's not nothing to do with Klopp himself. That's to do with the people running the club. That's to do with the director of football.
It's his money. Klopp will write a list and say, these are people. They'll say, this is what's available. Yeah. Klopp's job is, with the players he has, is to make the best out of the situation. Like you said, came in, paid 5 at the back. It was like, cool, we're not here yet. This is what we do. Klopp tactically had set up the team in a way he thinks we can win. Nobody looked at that team. It was basically, we can outscore our opponents if Chelsea don't gel. But we've always been that team. First 30 minutes will look great, and then after that, all the cracks start showing, and the players and whatnot. Knowing there's no number 6, and knowing now he's finally admitting we need a number 6 to set up like that. That's poor. That's a letdown for us. That's where he let me down. He let me down on not signing the player, because Klopp would have given us the players he wanted. He would have said I needed players. Everybody in the world knew we needed 6 2 seasons ago. or
No,
or last season.
that's
Or
what I was just
someone says,
clarifying. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it,
Klopp's
when I criticize Klopp, I criticize him for his tactical stuff. I also feel he's getting the Wenger treatment where he's not getting backed. But I also feel like we need to kind of take a second and appreciate Enzo's performance because he was nice on the ball, man. He looked silky. He looked silky. His passing was opening you lot up.
And I can only see them getting better with Caicedo and Lavia. Obviously, they have
you have to
Jackson.
say them both names together. Can you say with the new signings?
Oh, LFC. You know, Lavia. Yeah.
They're looking lively. They've got Jackson up front who looks lively. I don't think
I'll take it because you guys had your
Lavia, Fernandez, and Caicedo. Yeah, LFC boy. There you go, bro. You could have had them all. You could have had them all.
You were saying Jackson.
It is what it is. Yeah, they got Jackson. He looks lively. He looks like a 10 to 15, I reckon. So maybe if they get a number 9 now, big issues. But even with Caicedo and Lavia, I still think top 4. I still don't think they're ready to challenge for the league. But you never know. You see how the young team gels. Arsenal's team were young and we done a little something last year. So you never know what Poch can bring out. But yeah, they were really good. But at the end of the day, it was a 1-1 draw. Later on in the season, away to Chelsea, you would have taken a 1-1.
Listen, I'm telling you, that's something I did. I tweeted, I said, you know what? The start of the season, before everything and whatnot, this is the games I'm like, I would have taken a draw away. Stafford Bridge, 1-1, especially with no 6 and how we played. I'll take a draw. I'd take it. Because I looked at the table and there's a lot of zeros. There's a lot of zeros beneath us. I'll take it.
All right, well, let's wrap up the Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea had a better game, but they still came out with the same point that you lot got.
We're wrapping it up. Wrap it up. Let's wrap. You don't need to go out.
We'll move on to our next topic. Same old United, bro. These pricks. Obviously, to all the United followers, I'm not going to lie to you. I just don't even like your club. But United scored a 1-0 victory over Wolves. How they got it was a bit meh. Referees, Fergie still looming in the background. They played absolutely horrible. We spoke about it on the first episode about how much time we're given, and Mr. Y, number one advocate.
Listen. Let me start off on United because obviously I was the one that made an objective argument. No, I'm not apologizing because I also said that what I would expect to see from them is a style of play and a change of that. That's what I said. So that's the expectation that I'd set, and for them to go out and win a cup, right? But Ten Hag needs to be questioned here, and I'm asking Ten Hag to rise. Like Ten Hag needs to rise up because this team needs to be coached. Yeah, can he coach, please? Because Varane don't know what to do. Varane still looks lost. Listen. I've seen Arteta coach Holding to go and turn his body and know how to receive the ball when the goalkeeper has it. He can never make him be good on the ball. He's always going to be pants. But I'm just saying to you, I've seen him have an idea of what to do. Players look lost. The only player that knows how to build up from that back is Martinez. And Martinez obviously played with him before, come up playing in Ajax. So he already knows how to play build-up play. But the rest of them, I've seen barely any improvement in short when it comes to building up from the back. Wan-Bissaka don't know what to do. Varane don't know what to do. So yesterday, that team looked lost. That team looked lost, yeah?
Shocking. They had 2, let's call them, Mount's a half 8, half 10. Bruno's definitely a 10. It's not an 8. They were at home, at home to Wolves, who me and you, Mr. Y, have both predicted to go down.
Yeah.
And Wolves looked outright. They had 23 shots.
Wasn't it the highest at Old Trafford? They broke history. They had 23 shots.
Since 2000 and something, 15, I think it was, or something, or 2005. Well, one of the numbers. I can't remember if there's. I can't remember the exact date.
Poor finishing. Anana made a couple good saves, and terrible officiating by the referees. Because
I told you. I said I don't rate him as a keeper. He made some good saves. I told you a mistake every game.
I was sitting there watching it yesterday, and the referee, the VAR is doing what VAR does, look through the thing, blah blah blah. Then the referee's gone to run over, and I'm thinking he's going to run over to look at it himself. VAR have told him, go look at it. Then he's gone to yellow card Gary O'Neill. You know what? And then he's come out and apologized after. I've had enough. I've had enough of this nonsense.
To disgrace.
One point each. There's no the only positive is that they got 3 points, which is obviously when you play bad and get 3 points, you just rub that under the carpet. But this weekend they've got Spurs. Spurs were not great this weekend, which we'll go on to, but they can score some goals. So we'll see what happens because they're away to Spurs, and that could be a sticky one if they get stuffed there.
You know what? Yeah,
Wolves were really good. What's his name? Cunha up top, like dropping him to the false nine. Madness. His driving ability. Lemina marshalling Mount and Bruno. Bruno didn't have a sniff. Pedro Neto had Luke Shaw doing a madness. Like it was actually just it was a one-way traffic, and how they didn't get anything out of the game is just a Man United thing. It just happens.
That's just poor finishing, man. They dominated. They played well. They looked comfortable on the ball, and they literally, because if Jimenez or they had somebody, that's goals. And I feel like they've sold two of their best players, because I still think Neto and them are top. And then not scoring any goals. Obviously, they can't add any additions. So it's like, how do they they can't do that? They can't do that for the rest of the season. They will go down.
They were the lowest scoring team last year, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and this is exactly why. Like you can see, and if anything, they're worse a team because they can't make any additions.
No, Gary O'Neill had them playing some ball.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. Do you think they're gonna do that? They don't. Come on.
They done it away to United. Away to United.
Bro,
that's a pretty good statement.
I'll put my hands up here and I'm calling it early. One, like a one-off.
Bro, the same way we bigged up Burnley earlier in the show for trying to play their ball. Gary O'Neill.
No. Congratulations on and whatnot, but you have to get results. This show.
He's been at Wolves for a week.
You can play. Yeah, no.
He's got them doing that.
My point is, they're not going to be doing. They're going to play decent football. Yeah, cool, but they're still going to be like low. They're not going to score many goals. I still think they're going to play good football. They're not going to score. I don't think they're going to score much goals.
You know, I think you're being really harsh.
Yeah.
I think you're being very harsh because I feel like
what happens the end of the season.
No, yeah, listen, I get what you're saying, but we can only work off what we've seen, and
but we've watched football. We've been predictions. I don't think they're gonna.
No, of course. But I'm saying to you, look, I predicted Wolves to go down, but yesterday watching them, it gave me food for thought. I'm not going to sit here and just be like rigid in my approach to how I viewed them initially, because I thought, look, they've lost a lot of key players. They lost the manager on short notice. They're not recruiting. They've got financial fair play issues. So for me, I was looking at it like, all right, they're in a world of trouble, an absolute world of trouble. Like, I don't see nothing coming from it. But yesterday, seeing the way Gary... Pardon?
That game changed everything.
No, I'm just saying, but it didn't change everything. I haven't written, but it's just 3 for 4. It's like, okay, maybe Gary... Firstly, you got firstly there's things.
Are you guys taking them? All right, so you guys after that game, are you guys taking them out of?
No, because I wouldn't change.
No, that's my question. So what? No. So my point still stands.
No, but all I'm saying to you is that I would be right now. I'm looking at them like, okay, maybe you've got something. Because firstly, let's not forget this year they've got Gary O'Neill, who last year did a sensational job keeping Bournemouth up. Yeah, he's only been in the job a few days, and he coached a very solid performance, and the players the players looked like they had an understanding of what they wanted to do. They looked like they understood of how to build up. They looked more structured than United did. So a lot of praise needs to go their way. It doesn't mean that they can't.
I'm not taking no praise from them. I still think they're gonna not score no goals or nothing. You might see have moments of great football, but they're still going to be in a relegation.
I think Gary O'Neill said something interesting yesterday. Yeah. He said something real interesting yesterday when I heard the post-match conference, and he said that what he wants to get from his team is to have more runners arriving into the box that will allow them to score more goals. He felt that when he watched Wolves the last season, when they were trying to create chances, there wasn't enough people in that area, and we saw the difference of that. Yesterday. On top of that, I think last season as well, I remember they signed a striker from.
They had more bodies in the box, yes.
Yeah, last season they had a striker they signed from one of the German sides. I can't remember off the top of the head. Tall striker, did well. I think he played for Stuttgart, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he came on.
And he came on, right? Exactly. And he missed. I think he blew out his knee in his first outing.
So he's out. Yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see what type of player that was, because he looked promising in Germany, and then obviously see what Gary O'Neill can do. I'm not saying that they're staying up. I'm just saying to you that for a first showing and what we can judge him off,
it was nice.
That was outstanding. But I do want to kind of go back to United, because I feel like Ten
Hag
catching smoke. Yeah.
Let's just talk about the officiating, because it's just mental.
Cool.
And
it's not mental.
Yeah, it's mental.
It's not mental. From Fergie time to whatever, it's Old Trafford. What do you expect? If it's going to happen anyway, it's going to be Old Trafford.
I saw a stat. It was like they've only conceded 3 penalties at home in like 200 and something games when Fergie was in charge or something like that.
You might have been in the battle with Fergie and them people as well. You know, time, bro, and everything. Do you know Old Trafford's a whole different set of rules, bro?
And Nana wiped him out. Wiped him clean. Ball was nowhere to be seen.
You know what Fergie Taps did alive in 2023 is mad. It's actually madness. Like the guy
at that game,
the guy's been gone. The guy's been out of the game for how long, and United still getting them type of decisions.
Well, he was at the game. He was at the
game.
But
I'm just saying to you, you know what? Yeah,
probably spoke to them.
The craziest thing about it all was that this is what VAR has been brought in for. That's the whole purpose of VAR, for clear and obvious errors. O'Donnell comes in and clearly clears out a man, doesn't touch the ball, takes a man out. Yeah, we saw a similar penalty last season. I hate to bring up Arsenal, but we saw a similar penalty given last. Yeah, I do, because this ain't. All right, listen. Well, we saw a similar penalty given when Edison cleared out Nketiah at the Emirates. Yeah, after the ball was kind of away from Nketiah. This one was more of a penalty than that one, and that one to me was a penalty as well. On top of that, they have the ability to look at it in hindsight, right? To review the action and to change the decision. Yeah, exactly.
Bro, and wait, it's not one man, you know. It's a whole group of people making this decision. So you can tell me that there was 1, 2, 3, 4, however many people sit in VAR, all watched it and didn't know that that was a penalty. When everyone else is watching on TV, everyone's all over Twitter, outraged. How can they not see that?
For me as well, I feel like the absolute minimum should be that you send the referee over to the monitors and you allow him to make his own decision. Allow him to view the incident, because he may have not seen it clearly, and allow him to decide if he wants to stick with the on-field decision or give the penalty. At least do that. I feel like the issue with VAR these days is that every time they send someone over, it's guaranteed that decision goes the other way. But I feel like the whole purpose of it should be like, yo, referee, you go over to the screen there and you see it for yourself and you decide
all
if you feel
training that they have and all the stuff that whatnot. It's actually embarrassing for refs now, because I feel you do this. You go every so often to all these, get these new rules and to train and whatnot. And now they brought this in, and that's just saying that's not even the bare minimum, like you're saying, Mr. Y. That's what you should be doing, and they should be advising that. But to even have to sit there with 4 or 5 people, like you're saying, Chinny, and not one person, or do you know what I'm saying? It's like even when you're doing jury service or whatever, you can't. You know what I mean? If one man goes, no, I don't think that person's guilty. That person's guilty. And everyone says guilty. We got to be here again. You're not rushed. Take your time and make decisions. Come on, man.
And if you're unsure in that box, then send the referee over there so he can be sure of it, because it's his decision, and allow him to make the decision. I feel like these refs are too under pressure, where every time they go to that monitor, they must go one way. They must go the opposite way to what they decided on field. But I feel like that should be the standard. If there's anything 50-50, anything they're not sure about, allow them to go to the monitor and reevaluate that, and then stick with the decision if they feel like it, or change their mind. I've got no qualms with that. If the referee went over there and said, "Nah, I don't think it's a penalty," even though I just think that's wrong, I feel like fans can get behind them actually reviewing it, and then they can then come out with a decision to explain why they didn't feel like that was a penalty. Well, you're not even sending a man over there, so it just seems like.
I saw it in France, is when they have the refs mic up, and man, we need that here, because they're too corrupt here. We need to understand exactly what they're saying, exactly what they're
It'll
thinking.
be in Champions League and that, but it won't be here. Do you know why? You'll get that what's that ref was like, go say thank you to your fans. They pay £70 for them tickets. Go say thank you to your fans. You'll get that one. You just get that one. Like, all right, mate, back off.
The refs move like feds, bro. They move like feds. Like they're feds on the pitch. Like they have that kind of authority where it's like, don't talk to me. It's like, bro, this is a game that you're officiating, and a lot of it is about opinions or how you view the game. So just because I'm shouting my opinion does not make me wrong all the time. And you're not right all the time because you're an officiator. Like we need a middle ground and we need to understand it.
I do have a question.
Man, I'm very sour on it.
I do have a question. It's about two of the new rules around the technical area, and if your manager gets sent off, then he doesn't conduct a post-match interview. And then the other one was with the players, initializing. What's your two thoughts on that?
The manager one is pretty like that does not impact. If Arteta gets sent off, I highly doubt he cares if he has to come and talk in a press conference. He wants to talk to his players.
Because you need to. I feel like
you need him. Yeah, you need him to talk. That doesn't help. Doesn't help anything. You just don't want the managers to come out and talk about the refs and make noise, basically. But, and to the other one, I do agree with the yellow card thing. That let the refs do their job. If they think it's a booking, they will. But they just need to obviously make sure that it's fair, kind of thing.
You know what? I don't like none of them, to be fair, because I feel like football is a highly passionate, emotive sport, right? And you're taking out a lot of it. You're expecting players to be robots these days, and you feel things on the pitch. You're motivated to win. There's a lot riding on the line. There's so much pressure on these players, and you expecting them to kind of conduct themselves as robots is pointless to me. Like you telling the managers and the coaches they can only be one at one particular place and the other one's got to be behind you. It just seems like they're over policing and over governing things. They want to have more control. And as a spectator, I tweeted it as well. I said, all I care about is what makes the sport better. Yeah, ways in which the game becomes a better spectacle, becomes a fairer spectacle. Those are the things that we should really fixate on. Asking managers and players to become robots, to control all their emotions, to bottle it up, to not respond to anything. It takes the fight out of the game. Imagine how things were back in the day when you used to have the Keane Vieira tussles and all those things. They're moving away from all that emotional, passionate game that made the Barclays what it is, and they're trying to kind of like put it into some robotic. We must all be, these PC people who can control our emotions at all time, and that's not really reflective of life. Right? That's not reflective of life, and not in sport and competition, because you feel things in sport and competition. So yeah. I don't really like that. But I just do want to touch on two things with United that are kind of concerning from, even with what I said last week. Yeah, I want to kind of highlight as well. Like watching that game, I saw no build-up play. I saw no patterns of play. Yeah, and no possession. Right? They can't retain the ball. They're a counter-attacking team. They're playing like a small team, what you'd expect relegation teams to play like. They're really great transitions, but they can't sustain possession, can't sustain attacks. And that's really worrying when you consider that Ten Hag's been in the game for a year, and he's also an experienced manager, and he's also spent a considerable amount of money. The recruitment also makes no sense, because they want to. When you look at Ten Hag and what he played at Ajax, he likes to build out from the back. He likes to retain the ball, play fluid attacking football. But that whole back four, other than Martinez and Onana, they're not really geared up to play that way. So for me, it's still a mesh up of styles. And for me, it's why it looks so worrying. Like, how are you going to build up from the back and be a possession-based side when you still got Wan-Bissaka and Shaw in your team? And Varane, who's a brilliant defender, but still doesn't understand the fundamentals of where to place himself when you're building up from the back. He looks lost when Onana has the ball. And those are the things to me where I'm looking at Ten Hag. I'm like, where is the coaching? You know, like where is this? You know, where is the coaching or where is the improvement of having these players understand where they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to stand, where to position themselves? Because you see that, you know, like Ten Hag's a student of Pep, so I'm expecting him to be in line with that kind of philosophy and to play in that kind of way.
I definitely hear your points. I agree with you there. I think that they're all fair points there, to be honest. Great points. We'll move on to the next topic, I guess.
Next one, we got welcome to the Prem, Angie. You know, Spurs life without Kane it was a decent game actually to watch. 2-2 draw Brentford. I thought it was a decent game. Watched it, both teams very good offensively, not so good defensively. And I normally expect a bit more from Brentford defensively because they set out as like a quite solid unit. But obviously them missing Ivan Toney looked more or less the same going forward to me. They look very strong. They did maybe miss a few opportunities that maybe with him they would have put in the net. I reckon with him they win that game.
Yeah, I reckon would have stuck up a little bit more as well with his presence.
But Tottenham looked all right going forward. Defensively also looked a bit poor in transition, especially down their right side. So when Rico Lewis is flooding down their right side, I think that was a major problem for Tottenham. Maddison looks good in there. Bissouma looked really good in there. But I think they just have to get the balance right. Like Bissouma's a really good player. Is he that disciplined to really like stop the counter attacks? I'm not sure, but he's good on the ball, keeps the ball ticking over, has some quality going forward as well. Obviously, we all know about Maddison. Skip was in there. I'm not really rating Skip, but he was in there.
Man, them rate Skip, you know. Man, them rate Skip. I'm not really but
they had their new centre back at the back. He looked all right. Romero obviously scored the goal, come off injured.
That's when the game changed for Spurs. I think they're a lot more they're more comfortable with him on the ball. When you're bringing on Sanchez, it's just you just know there's calamity coming somewhere.
Yeah. And then I don't think the front three worked. Like Richarlison was poor for me, very poor. Carried like same as last season. Son hasn't got back to his usual self yet, and I think Kulusevski is just getting the feels again. But it was a Spursy performance. For me, it was a typical Spursy performance. You never really know what you're going to get, but they were right, and they're playing some different football. He's like that's a manager that's actually got them playing some different football. That's already a bit more positive. So I thought it was decent for his first game. Decent. Brentford's not the easiest place to go to. Decent result. Can score goals, and he will know what he has to work on.
Well, you want to go next, or you want me to go?
Go.
You know what? Yeah, I thought it was watching Tottenham yesterday. I thought it was an indictment. Well, I thought it was an indictment. It was Sunday actually, but it was an indictment on Conte. Like seeing the way they played and how they were able to retain possession and to attack. I felt like it just illustrated how poor of a job Conte done in that last season because Tottenham were horrible to watch. Horrible to watch. And I feel like Tottenham have kind of gone back to their roots. They're playing an exciting brand of football or attacking football, but they're kind of shoddy defensively. And I feel like that's going to be a massive theme of this season. I feel like they're going to score a lot of goals, but they're going to concede a hell of a lot too. I don't think they have the personnel to play the way in which Ange would like defensively. But I also feel like the way in which they want to play is very high risk, and they will concede a lot of goals because of that. I felt Bissouma did well in that 6. I felt Destiny Udogie looked good as a left back. Maddison's delivery for that first goal was amazing, and he looked sharp. And there's a lot for Tottenham fans to kind of look at that and be like, take promising signs from. But I still feel defensively that's always going to be the issue, and they really need some reinforcements with that Harry Kane money. Somebody better than the likes of Sanchez, someone better than the likes of Dyer. I thought it was a decent showing. Nothing amazing, promising signs, but also worrying signs.
Mickey was
That was, yeah, Mickey was decent as well. Yeah, Mickey was decent as well. In regards to Brentford, I feel like that combination of Wissa and Mbeumo is always been like a nice little partnership that they've developed, and they've got a lot of energy, a lot of legs, work hard, running behind, stretch the pitch, stretch the centre backs, and they always cause defenders problems, even when Tony's not there. So that wasn't a surprise for me. But Brentford are a solid outfit, and Thomas Frank's always done a sensational job for me. I mean, I think they'll have another solid season. Really, they're just a steady Eddie.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. For me personally, I agree. I don't have any additional comments. I think you guys literally hit the nail on the head on both teams. And for once, I'm quiet. I don't have an additional comment. I think they played well. I think I agree with the Conte comparisons. I agree with Brentford spreading wide, and Frank being able to get the best out of them. So
yeah, man, pretty decent showing from both. Both managers will know what they're working with. Angie has a lot to build upon, and I think they put in a decent enough performance that he'll know what he can build upon and what he needs to cut out.
Yeah. There's actually one thing I do want to say though. Son hasn't really been a simmer of himself. Giving him captaincy, I want to see if that brings out mentally the best or adds too much pressure on him. But I do want to see him in the middle, though. I do like him in the middle of the pitch, unless they're not signing a big boy striker. I know there's some striker they're trying to sign, but they're signing. I have to see Son through the middle, but I want to see what captaincy does to him, because he dropped off a lot last season, and I want to see if captain, if it's too big, captain too big for him.
I think with Son, the main issue with Son for me is that he's most dangerous when he's running behind, but he's not really a winger. He's more of an inside forward for me. And when he is wide and he's asked to create, or he's asked to take on a man, his game really struggles. Whereas when we've seen the best of Son is when he's running in behind, Harry Kane feeding him, and him running through goal. That's when you see, Son at his best. And I feel like if he is asked to play as a wide player in a 4-3-3, I feel like he is going to struggle, because he's not creative. He's not a great dribbler. He's not the best passer. He really is just a gunman from out wide. That's what I see him as, somebody who will get you goals from wide positions. But other than that, his overall game is quite weak.
Hey, a lot to work on, I guess. A lot to work on for Spurs. Brentford pretty much the same, but that's how it goes. But when we're talking, I think our last topic that we're covering as a whole, this one, I guess we'll have a lot to talk about, because Newcastle absolutely went crazy. Isaac keeping Wilson out the team, and he's doing his thing. He's finding his feet, and them feet can do a lot of things. And Tonali looked comfortable straight away in there. Obviously, it wasn't the hardest game for him not to look comfortable, but I can only judge him based on that. And he looked impressive. I think Newcastle set out the same as last year. Eddie Howe's got them kind of running like another well-oiled machine in their own way. Joe Linton does what he does. Bruno does what he does. Tonali's come in, and even his goal, I didn't expect him to be getting that far forward and that much into the box. I didn't see that when he was at AC. So that's why at the first I was thinking, is it going to work with Bruno and him in the same team? But he got into the box quite a lot yesterday. I think they tactically outclassed Aston Villa. Isaac obviously has individual brilliance and skill.
Fergie, if you listen to it, Fergie said, it was a good game. Aston Villa played really well, and I'm excited for Aston Villa, and Newcastle will be up there. You would have thought.
What also impressed me was Harvey Barnes came on. I thought Anthony Gordon was all right, and I'm not his biggest fan, but I thought he was actually all right. He was getting in, put obviously good deliveries in, got an assist, so I thought he was all right. But Harvey Barnes, when he is fit, that left side is his, and that is going to be a big issue because his output is actually quite outrageous.
Another player doesn't stop running as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Aston Villa was shocking. Obviously, the injury to Tyrone Mings did not help. But I don't think they were good in general. Anyway, Watkins wasn't really about. They didn't really have any control over the game bar the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And Newcastle just pretty much took all of that belief away from them. They're making silly mistakes. Konza giving the ball to Isaac in the box, like trying to shepherd him out, be clever. It wasn't clever. And they got punished and they got absolutely dismantled.
It was not clever.
Clever. But yeah, they got dismantled. Newcastle probably wouldn't have they would not even expected a game like that. They got it. They got 5, top of the league. If that means anything right now, but
I think it's me and Mr. White that had Villa as the overachievers. Or did I?
Yeah, I had Newcastle as 5th. And
I had Villa as underachievers, bro.
Oh, I had him. Oh, no, whatever you had him in, I had him in the same.
Yeah. Nah, you know what? Yeah. Firstly, I want to start on Unai Emery. You know, as I call him Unai Bombery, yeah, because I've never rated him in the league. I've always said he's not for me. Saw it at Arsenal. Yeah, I remember when we were going on a crazy run.
I told you every single point refers back to Arsenal. He loves all his points examples are Arsenal.
We're talking about ex-Arsenal manager here, yeah. So there's a reason why.
No matter what tactic,
but I remember
an Arsenal game, a game against Arsenal, an Arsenal link or whatnot.
And let me land, yeah. Yeah. So with Emery now, when we went on a massive unbeaten streak, when we went on a massive unbeaten streak, I remember the fan base going in hysterics. And I was looking at it in a completely different view. I was looking at it like, this is not sustainable. We're conceding way too many chances. Our defensive line, our defensive shape is all over the place. And this is eventually going to catch up with us, right? Because all we were doing was outscoring teams. We had Aubameyang and Lacazette working in tandem then, and it worked out for a little while. But then we threw away top 4, got smashed in the Europa final. But defensively, it was shocking. And historically, I said it last week, Emery always struggles in the league, especially when in Europe. And we saw it. His high line was abysmal. Defensively, they were all over the place. Diaby looked impressive, but their shape overall was horrific.
I was waiting for my moment.
Yeah.
You're right, though. You're right.
And on Newcastle, right? I'm gonna say something that might be wild to some people, but to me, I look at Newcastle and I draw a lot of similarities in how Eddie Howe has them to how Jurgen Klopp has Liverpool playing in regards to their midfield, just solely off the way they have so much energy, the way they press, the way they run. They overwhelm teams, completely overwhelm teams. And it's not necessarily like Liverpool's midfield was the most technically proficient or the most technically brilliant in the league, but they would just bully you with their energy and their enthusiasm. And I see that same thing with that Newcastle side. So that's something that's impressed me. And I question if they can do that over the course of a season whilst competing in Europe. It remains to be seen because it's a lot of energy expenditure, you know, and they've never really had to manage both competitions before. But they look good. I mean, Tonali came in, you know, as Chinny said, looked sharp, looked like, you know, a duck to water, came in, slotted seamlessly into the first team, got his goal, should have really got second as well. Isaac is a handful, you know, running in behind.
You have Isaac doing his thing, and then you have Callum Wilson coming off the bench, itching. Yeah. Just itching. He's itching.
If Isaac unlocks, the finishing trait, it's going to be a problem for the league because that guy can do everything bar finish clinically. Like he had a few chances that game, and he should have really had a hat trick, in my opinion. Yeah, with the amount of clear chances he had, he should have really had a hat trick. So if he unlocks that ability to be calm and composed and find them corners in front of goal, he's going to be a real problem because he's smart, he's good passer, good dribbler, tall, good amount of strength on him as well. So he's got a lot of good raw attributes to begin with, and he's got a good footballing brain as well. So I'm a big fan of Isaac, and Newcastle look good. I mean, I felt Barnes was a smart acquisition from Eddie Howe. I felt it's a massive upgrade on Saint Maximum, because Saint Maximum is for me a FIFA player. Yeah, looks lovely to watch, fun to watch, gets you up off your seat, but offers nothing. Yeah, like end product is not there. And Barnes is an output machine. Like he knows how to time his runs, running behind, good finish, good delivery. And when you're competing high up in the table, you need players that are more decisive, players that can either assist or score. And bringing in someone like Barnes, who's used to the league, who's played in a good Leicester side, and who can offer that type of output, is always going to be a plus for a team that are competing for Champions League. So, yeah, I think that's a really smart acquisition.
I'm going to stop going after you two, because you guys hit all the points and whatnot. And I come in with, yeah, I agree. I don't have a... Because anything I say will just be copied.
Football analysis at its finest, bro. Football analysis at its finest.
No, I think I agree. I think... Again, I will. So with all the positive, I'll just focus on negatives as well. And I think one of the things we said in the last episode was Newcastle are in a different realm now, a different level of football, and sustainability is going to be an issue. Like to be playing for challenging for more than one cup at a time, or one, trying to challenge for more than one cup at a time is going to be very hard. And in terms of like rotation, it's something new to the manager, so let's see what he can do. I don't feel confident. I think it's going to be one of the ones where I think I said they'll try to get out of the group, and then they'll be like, okay, we're not getting out of the group or whatever. We're just going to focus on the Premier League. We'll try to get one of the smaller cups. But that's just an early prediction from me that I made in the last episode. But they look well. You can't take it away from them. If they were just in the league, I reckon, boy, they could really be trying to go all the way. When teams are just in the league and just got a straight run, a free hit, but it's a game congestion is going to be their Achilles heel, personally.
Yeah, and they ain't signed enough as well. I think that's the big issue. They haven't strengthened enough so far. I mean, the window's still open, so it remains to be seen what they do, who they add. But I do feel
back in it.
Pardon?
Looking like Tierney, that's the only one I see them really linked to right now.
Yeah. Take him, boy. Give us a good amount of money, you can take him.
Eddie
Howe loves his British players as well. He loves his British players.
Give me 40 M's in that table, bro.
Yeah, man. Give me 40 M's and you can take him. You know what I mean? With his plastic bag. All good. I'm happy.
I think some of the fans would rather keep him right now with all the competition.
Yeah, it's mixed, but 40 M's, I can go into the market as Arteta and buy a couple of players.
Yeah, I think we're in a position now where we have to when you get a good offer coming and a player is not a first teamer, you've got to look to let them go and replace intelligently. And we've got a massive expenditure, so
I agree. You guys
just
picked
last bits and bobs, so we're not going to obviously touch on these games as much, but see,
I will say Luton were around find out the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth, West Ham.
That's one.
West Ham new manager, obviously. Bournemouth new manager. So I didn't really know what to expect. West Ham obviously lost Declan Rice. They're just a bit everywhere right now. Can't bring in players, so they're struggling a bit. So 1-1 draw. I guess they take it away to Bournemouth and they move. Brighton taught Luton a real lesson. Obviously, Mr. Y spoke about Brighton before the game. First half looked a bit decent for Luton as well. They went, but second half, obviously, Brighton really showed their power and their Premier League know-how. Scored 4 goals. Everton lost at home to Fulham, and remember I told you that Fulham are decent.
I changed. I put my hands up and I changed.
Everton not the easiest place to go away to. They've gone there and got an early result against probably someone that's going to be rivaling them down in that bottom half of the table. Yeah. So that's a good result for them. Sheffield United got totally outplayed by Crystal Palace. It was only 1-0, but they got totally outplayed by Crystal Palace at home. And for me, if I was a Sheffield United fan, that would be worrying because Crystal Palace is kind of a team that I'd be trying to get some points off. and the way they lost it wasn't a good loss for them. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think of some of the games. As if we just quickly round it up, anything.
Oh, you want to go? Because I keep taking all your points. He said so. There you go.
I think Luton was the exact example of what we was trying to make earlier with the Burnley game. Palace looked good. I agree with Fulham, the Fulham comment, and Everton, because Everton they're again, it's a team that are playing on the same level, and you should thinking, okay, I should be playing better here, be doing this. But Luton definitely found out what time it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, everything else, the results went the way I thought it was going to go, to be honest.
Well, I want to shout out my second team, Brighton, firstly. Yeah, because they done their thing. You know, I'm a big fan, yeah, of Tony Bloom and how he operates. 115 for Caicedo off a $5 million purchase. That's insane business. The Zerbi, the way he plays football is beautiful to watch. Their recruitment is just next level. I mean, if you look at Mitoma, you look at what's the other one called? Who they just had? Adingra, who they just bought in from the Belgian league. João Pedro, Evan Ferguson, Estepina. Their recruitment is just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And the way they play football, the way they knock it around, the way they build up so much confidence. Like every single player knows what they're doing. Everyone knows what to do, how to where to be placed on the pitch, where to pass, where to move, and it's just it's a phenomenal job what they've done. And yeah, seeing them smack 4 past to Luton wasn't a surprise. Luton lost. Luton are going down. I've got no doubt about that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Brighton because they play pure football, and it's nice to see a team that have kind of come from obscurity, come from the Championship, built their way up, made really smart moves, made great business investments, got one of the best networking and scouting teams in the world, and bringing in constant top young talent, building them up and then selling them for a profit, and still going on the next season and improving. Other games, Fulham got life, man. Fulham got life. I mean, Everton were extremely unlucky. I think Bernd Leno had a really good game, solid game, made some key saves. I think Mopai missed some sitters. Everton missed, I think the Corey missed a one-on-one as well with Leno saving. So I felt Everton will feel hard done by, and Fulham will take that 3 points and take it back home to Craven Cottage. Bournemouth game was a mixed game, to be fair. They didn't really have a lot of the players that they'd signed, either from January or in the summer. So I'm looking forward to see how they play when those signings come in, because I've said I'm a fan of the manager. I'm a fan of the signings they've made. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them play and seeing the brand of football that they can play, because the manager does play some good stuff. But yeah, that's it.
We're just
I'm good. I see we got Mbappe.
Yeah, special mentions to the boy Jude. You can't really. He's gone to Madrid. He's a young boy. He's doing his thing. Goal on his debut. Top quality performance.
He just celebrate. That's all.
It's lovely to see, because
he looked like a man against boys in that game. Like the way he was bullying players, he was running. He was bodying man in that game. He was actually bodying man. Yeah,
I'm a Jude fan, and I just want to see him do well.
To do that 19 in a foreign league, I mean, like he was doing Yaya Toure. He was giving him the Yaya Toure treatment, and I was looking at it like, raw. Like I remember he went on some amazing dribble, and I was like, raw. Like he really is that guy.
Few runs that were like, damn, like
he's hair, man.
Like I'm that, like I'm that guy. That's what you were saying. Like I'm that guy. I got bought for this money, and I am that guy.
Real Madrid are fans. They're gonna know. They're gonna enjoy it. Obviously, Mbappe. Who knows if he's staying or leaving? But it looks like because Neymar's gone to Saudi now officially, it looks like Mbappe is kind of saying, you know what? Since all the big names are out, I'm happy to be my own big name. And that's a bit sad. It's a bit sad for football, because PSG ain't doing anything anytime soon. But
hey, Chinny, quick question though to yeah? I thought you were supposed to be enjoying Bellingham.
Like a
Shame.
statement.
Huh?
That sounds like
That's what your fan base was saying, boy. Hey, Jude. You know what I'm saying to you? All them type of things there. You know what I mean? Henderson's got this, and Trent took him to
I'm not
the
gonna
Big
lie
Busy
to you.
concert, and
Lie
all
to
them
you.
things there.
Everyone who follows me on social media, and you guys know, I am the one. I'm probably the only Liverpool, not the only, because I know people. I'm one of the Liverpool fans that live in the real world, and those deals was never happening. I'm surprised about Casado. That one shot through me because I don't know about no British history, like British world record. That's crazy to me. Liverpool, you must be crazy.
I don't know what Mbappe's doing, but I guess we'll see if he signs a new contract. It's a bit wild, and obviously Neymar's gone to Saudi to join the rest of the money makers.
What am I saying? Failed wonder kid.
You know what?
Did
Neymar
you not see that? Did you not see that post from Neymar where he liked a post talking about how Mbappe wanted Neymar gone, and now that Neymar's gone, he's happy to come back and keep ball again?
I think that's a well-known fact. Whether Mbappe signs a new contract or just stays for the end and goes Madrid after is another thing. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that whole thing is mad. Mbappe is actually a dictator. Like that brother there, he runs.
When you're that good,
I'm the captain now. You know them ones there. Like that's Mbappe for you. Like
when you're that good and that much power, it is what it is. It is what it is. But OJ, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. I just want to say, guys, that is the OTP podcast. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, get involved on our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, where you might see Chinny and Mr. Y busting some of them, you know what I mean, for their teams. We'll see what happens. But I just want to say a huge thank you to my co-hosts and for everyone who watched, and keep spamming the like and subscribe button.
Yeah, man. Turn on the notifications for us. Subscribe, watch. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts now, Amazon. So you can find us with just the audio if you want to find us under the same thing at the OTP Pod. But yeah, thanks for joining. Hopefully, I've been able to get some discussions based on our talking points, and yeah, more to come.
Yeah, appreciate the support, people, man. Thank you for watching. Love.